Happy morning, children. Welcome to Blue Stars High Secondary School online classes. Today we have your English class and we are going to see Unit 6 supplementary part. Okay, so the title of the supplementary is The Little Hero of Holland. This is the lesson which we are going to see today. So before getting into the lesson, let me give you a short introduction about the author. So the author is Mary Mapps Dodge. Okay. So he was born on 1831 and died on 1905. He was an American children's author and editor, best known for her novel Hans Bringer. This is the best novel of Mary Mapps Dodge. She was the recognized leader in juvenile literature for almost a third of 19th century. So Dodge conducted St. Nicholas for more than 30 years and it became one of the most successful magazines for children. So she was the author for St. Nicholas magazine. She was able to persuade many of the great writers of the world to contribute to her children's magazine. So Mark Twain, Louisa May Alcott, Robert Louis Stevenson, Tennyson. So everybody has written articles in the magazine, which is run by Saint Nicholas. Okay, the magazine name is Saint Nicholas, which was run by Mary Mapps Dodge. So she was a great poet and she was an author and editor and who has written many stories and articles for the children. And let us see what is the story about. So what is the title of the story? The Little Hero of Holland. And the place where the story is happening is Holland Dyke. The place is Dyke. Okay. And what are the characters you saw in this? Peter, his mother, his friend, and his friend the blind man, the man who finally finds Peter. Okay. Then what is the theme of the poem? The theme of the lesson. Unconditional love of a boy towards his country. That is the theme of the story. Okay. So here, what is the plot? The Peter saved his land and people from being drowned. What is the climax? Peter saved his land and people and he became the hero of Holland. Okay, so what is the values taught through the story? It is that unconditional love for the land and people. Okay, so now let's get into the lesson. The Little Hero of Holland. So by Mary Mapps Dodge. Okay, this is a true story of a little boy with a brave heart and a passionate love for his village. So read on to the story to find what the little hero of Holland did to save his fellow men. So this is a true story, okay, so which is based upon a brave boy who has very much love towards his country. See here, Holland is a country where much of the land lies below the sea level. Only great walls called dikes keep the North Sea from rushing in and flooding the land. Okay, so what they're telling, Holland is a place, is a country wherein it is at a low level than the sea. Okay, so normally they will build great walls, bigger walls. The name of those walls are called as dikes. Okay, so these dikes will will keep the land safe from the sea. So this dikes will stop the sea from entering into the country. Okay. So for centuries, the people of Holland have worked to keep the walls strong so that the country will be safe and dry. So it is a important thing for each and every citizen of Holland to keep their country safe by checking the walls of the dike. Even if there is a slight crack also, they will work on it immediately and they will clear it out, okay, every now and then to keep their country safe. So even the little children know the dikes must be washed every moment and that a hole no longer than your finger can be a very dangerous thing. Understood? So even the children are also trained that they have to keep on watching the dikes, the dike walls, so that even a small hole which is a size of your finger can also be very dangerous because water will start to come in through that hole and that hole will become obviously bigger and bigger, then that will be a threatening to the country. Okay, So many years ago, there lived in Holland a boy named Peter. So Peter's father was one of the men who tended the gates in the dikes called sluices. So Peter is also a boy who's living in Holland many years ago, and this boy's father, he also was making the gates, tended the gates in the dikes called sluices. He opened and closed the sluices so that ships could pass out of Holland Canal into the Great Sea. So sluices are the gate-like thing in the dikes. Okay, even that should be very stronger. And only when the ships are coming in to Holland, they will open it, and again they have to close it. Okay. One afternoon in the early fall, when Peter was 8 years old, his mother called him from his play. Come, Peter, she said. I want you to go across the dike and take these cakes to your friend, the blind man. If you go quickly and do not stop to play, you'll be home again before dark. So what is happening? One day, Peter was playing, okay, with his friend, and mother is calling Peter, and he's just 8 years old boy by then, and there is a friend, okay, across the dike, and mother is asking this Peter to take. The mother has baked some cake for the friend of Peter, friend who is a blind man. So the mother want Peter to take some cakes to the blind man who is living across the dike. Okay, so the mother is telling, if you do not play in between when you are going, you can come home before dark. The little boy was glad to go on such an errand and started off with a light heart. He stayed with the poor blind man a little while to tell him about his walk all along the dike and about the sun and the flowers and the ships far out at sea. Then he remembered his mother's wish that he should return before dark, and bidding his friend goodbye, he set out for home. So now, this boy, Peter, is also very much eager to go in this to do this work. Okay, he is very much eager to meet his friend, the blind friend, and so he is also taking the cake and going. Okay, and after reaching the blind man, he is giving the cake and he is telling about all the scenarios, all the scenes which he saw when he was coming. So what are those? It was the sun, about the sun and the flowers, ships far out at sea. So all these things he was explaining to the blind man, and then suddenly he is remembering his mother's wish. What the mother told, you have to return back before it's getting dark. Okay, so the boy Peter, he is just saying goodbye to his blind friend and is starting back to home. As he walked beside the canal, he noticed how the rains had swollen the waters and how they beat against the side of the dike, and he thought of his father's gates. So, what is this? He is coming back from the blind friend's place, and he could see, the canal. The canal is the river flow. It has been completely covered. Even the rains have make the water more and more. Okay, and now the water is like it's like beating against a wall. The sound he could hear, it's the sound of the water which is striking the walls of the dike. And now he is also remembering the gate. Okay, the gate, his father has made the gates, isn't it, for the ships to come and go into Holland. He is just remembering the gate which is made by the father. I am glad they are so strong, he said to himself. If they gave away, what would become of us? These pretty fields would be covered with water. Father always calls them the angry waters. I suppose he thinks they are angry at him for keeping them out so long. See, so the childish way of thinking, isn't it? So the boy is thinking, Daddy has made the gates so strong so as the water will not enter into the country. And what if the water comes in? If the water comes in, it will just swallow all the beautiful fields here. Okay, and that is why father is calling them as angry waters. And also he is consoling himself. They are angry because no one is allowing the waters to come inside. That is why they are very much angry. They are keeping them out for so long time. The boy is thinking in such a way. As he walked along, he sometimes stopped to pick the pretty blue flowers that grew beside the road. or to listen to the rabbits' soft tread as they rustled through the grass. But oftener he smiled as he thought of his visit to the poor blind man who had so few pleasures and was always so glad to see him. So he was just walking, he was thinking about the water and he's walking. And at times he used to stop to see the beautiful blue flowers which is grown in the roadside, and also the sound of the rabbits made when they are just playing in the fields. He want to see that and he's just stopping and listening to that rabbits playing and the blue flowers. Okay, and he often smiled thinking about the blind friend. Okay, because the blind friend has very only few happy things to share, and is always very happy to share that with Peter. Suddenly, he noticed that the sun was setting and that it was growing dark. Mother will be watching for me, he thought, and he began to run towards home. Okay, so when he was just thinking about their friend, then he saw the sun is setting down and it started to become dark. Okay, and now he thought mother will be surely she will say something if I go home late, so he'll be searching for me. So I have to go home faster before it gets dark completely. Okay. So saying that he is running towards the home. So just then he heard a noise. It was the sound of trickling water. He stopped and looked down. There was a small hole in the dike through which a tiny stream was flowing. Any child in Holland is frightened at the thought of a leak in the dike. Okay, so suddenly he is just hearing some water flowing, the sound of water flowing. What is that? It's a trickling sound of water. It's a dropping, drop it was just pour down, right? That is a trickling sound of water. So this boy is stopping and he's just observing, he's finding out a small hole in the dike. Okay, and through which a little there was a little leakage in the water. And since the children in Holland has been taught, they have to continuously wash the dike and they have to clear if any fault or any crack is there. Okay, so even the small hole become a dangerous thing, so the children have been taught in that way. So this small hole is making this boy very afraid. Okay, Peter understood the danger at once. If the water ran through a little hole, it would soon make a larger one, and the whole country would be flooded. In a moment, he saw what he must do. Throwing away his flask, he climbed down the side of the dike and thrust his finger into the tiny hole. The flowing of the water was stopped. Okay, so immediately this boy wanted to do something. He understood if we leave it as such, the hole will become little by little bigger, and after that, the whole country will be flooded. So he is just thinking what he could do. Immediately, he has just picked the blue flowers, isn't it? He has just thrown away the flowers and is running through the dike wall and is putting his small fingers into the hole of the dike wall. And after that, the water was stopped. Oh, ho, he said to himself, the angry waters must stay back now. I can keep them back with my finger. Holland shall not be drowned while I'm here. So, what is this boy telling? Oh, the angry waters want to come inside Holland, but as far as I'm here, I will not allow these waters to come inside Holland. I will stop it with my fingers. Okay, this was all very well at first, but soon grew dark and cold. The little fellow shouted and screamed, come here, he called, but no one heard him. No one came to help him. It grew still colder, and his arm ached and began to grow stiff and numb. Okay, so what is this? At first, he was very much stronger. He was just stopping the water with the finger. But after some time, it becomes so dark and becomes so cold. He was shouting. Peter was shouting for help. Okay, but nobody hearing this voice, and no one came to help Peter as well. And after some time, it was becoming darker, and it was so cold also, and his arm started to be painful. Okay, so after that, no, if you keep your hand motionless for some time without movement, your hand will become numb. It will not have any sense itself, isn't it? So it becomes stiff and numb. He shouted again, will no one come? Mother, mother. So he's just keeping on shouting. So please, any one of you come here. Okay, I need help. So this boy is shouting. But his mother had looked anxiously along the dike road many times since sunset for her little boy, and now she had closed and locked the cottage door, thinking that Peter was spending the night with his blind friend, and that she would scold him in the morning for staying away from home without permission. So now mother has been searching for this boy. He's just keeping on looking along the road whether the boy is returning back. Okay. But after some time, since this boy is not returning back, and it also becoming so dark, mother thought that Peter has stayed with the friend itself. And she is also thinking, when the boy is coming in the morning, definitely I have to scold him, okay, for not listening to the words and not informing him for staying there. So mother is thinking in that way, and she is just waiting for Peter and just closing the cottage door. Okay. Peter tried to whistle, but his teeth chattered with cold. He thought of his brother and sister in their warm beds and of his dear father and mother. I must not let them be drowned, he thought. I must stay here until someone comes, if I have to stay all night. So now what Peter is trying to whistle, but he could not whistle. All his teeth is chattering. Okay, it is just know how if you are in a very cold region, automatically your teeth will chatter. Yeah, so just like that, for this also, for this Peter also, it is chattering. And then this boy is thinking about his brother, sister, father, mother, everyone, and he is thinking that he will not remove the finger, and he will not let anyone to drown in the water. Okay, so I will be here, whatever happens, I will be here only. So the boy is very much determined to stay there. The moon and stars looked down on the child crouching on the stone on the side of the dike. His head was bent and his eyes were closed, but he was not asleep, for every now and then he rubbed the hand that was holding back the angry sea. Okay, so what is this? So this boy, the night has come, the night has set in. The stars and moons are like looking at the. It is like a imagination of the writer. It is like the stars and moons are looking at the child who is standing against the dike wall with his head bent and eyes closed, but he's not asleep. He's not sleeping. Okay, he's just holding the water with his little fingers. Okay, and yeah, the boy is rubbing the hands every now and then. Why? Because it is becoming stiff and numb, so he want to keep it alive. So he's just keeping on rubbing the hands every now and then, which is holding the angry sea. I'll stand it somehow, he thought. So he stayed there all night, keeping the sea out. So this boy is standing there and he is stopping the water from flowing inside the country. Okay. Early the next morning, a man going to work thought he heard a groan as he walked along the top of the dike. Looking over the edge, he saw a child clinging on the side of the great wall. What's the matter? He called. Are you hurt? I'm keeping the water back, Peter yelled. Then tell them to come quickly. Okay, so now the next day morning, a man was going to work. Okay, and he just heard the voice of someone like in pain, and he's also walking along the top of the dike. So he's just, when he's looking down, he could see the child who is just clinging onto the wall, side of this dike wall. And this man is asking the boy, what happened to you? Why are you here? Are you hurted? And then Peter is telling, no, I'm keeping the water back. Okay, I'm just holding the water from coming inside the country. So please go and ask someone to come. And then this alarm was spread. Okay, this alarm was spread. People came running with shovels and the hole was soon mended. Okay, so this man was telling this to the people of the country, and people from all over the country, they are just coming along with the shovels, and the hole was soon mended. It was just blocked. Okay, they carried Peter home to his parents, and before long, the whole town knew how he had saved their lives that night. To this day, they have never forgotten the brave little hero of Holland. So though he is a small boy, he was saving the whole country. That whole night he was saving the country from by keeping the water there itself. So he was treated as a brave hero of Holland. Understood the story? Okay, children, I hope you understand this. So read the lesson once, learn the question answers, and try to, see that sentences and identify those characters. Okay, and learn all the 1 marks from the materials given, and write the same in your class book notebook also. Thank you, children. Have a blessed day.